Hello and welcome back to the Formula 1 chat. Today we're here to discuss the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We're going to be previewing, giving some predictions and talking about the brand new sprint race format.
Ooh.
The most debated, highly debated topic of conversation in the last few days. Obviously the new sprint race format coming to Formula 1 for sprint races this season. Of course we do have 6 sprint rounds this year, including, this weekend in Azerbaijan, of course, Austria, Qatar, Brazil. Is Imola one, I feel? I can't remember the others. But yeah, there's 6 sprint races this year, and the first of which is this weekend. Azerbaijan, we'll talk about the sprint race format in a moment, but do you think that Baku is a good race for a sprint race?
Absolutely brilliant. So having a sprint race at a street circuit like Baku, where the whole point of sprint race is you put everything on the line, and when you've got the walls that close, it's going to bring you action, it's going to bring you drama.
Yeah.
And Baku has proven, over the years that it is a very good racetrack. We've seen some brilliant, iconic moments that have decided championships at Baku.
Yeah, well, the drivers and the teams, they're not too buzzing about it because they see this as a weekend where there's a lot of risk. And I think we are probably likely to see a shock winner. There's a lot of things that can go wrong here. There's a lot of chance that, if things get feisty on the Saturday, we see a couple of drivers out, and then we know there's going to be carnage on the Sunday. I feel like we're going to see a lot of incidents.
Yeah, we
because you've got
probably
loads
are,
of laps
but
at Baku.
I do like the fact, obviously for us as a viewer it creates action, but I do like that this new sprint format, I think, actually makes it better.
I think the sprint's better, yeah, but I'm glad that the sprint race doesn't impact the proper Formula 1 race. I'm glad that's a good change.
So this means people are going to crash on the Saturday, but luckily for them it won't affect them on the Sunday now.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel it's not. I just feel like we're going to see more and more drivers out of position, which could be a positive if you view it that way, especially with the manner in which Red Bull have dominated. But I feel like we spoke in the week about, I think it was Monday's video, wasn't it? Yeah. Last Friday's video, we spoke about sport versus spectacle and whether Formula 1 is prioritising the spectacle of Formula 1 rather than the actual sport. And I think this is a further example of it, because this isn't a thing that's it's going to make the racing and the sport more interesting. But this seems like a spectacle-inducing thing. They want moments. They want things we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
They want a shock winner come the end of Sunday's Grand Prix.
Yeah, it is, but I think it's also, it's another opportunity for the drivers to do what they love and drive around a racetrack and race each other. It's another chance for the teams and the drivers to earn money by winning races and doing well.
It's also a chance to lose money if you put your car on the wall.
Get better then.
Okay, so if Nicholas, he's not on the grid anymore. I've completely forgotten all the drivers now. But if you get punted off,
but F1's
by
a
Williams
sport, but also,
okay.
I don't like to use cliches, but people say, what goes around comes around, and usually it's kind of part and parcel over a season. If you get punted off at one racetrack, you usually get the luck returned in your favour at a different racetrack.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I feel the midfield especially is going to be carnage. I don't know if it's going to create much more difference at the front unless one of the front runners makes a mistake.
Which they probably won't.
Exactly. So I don't know. Maybe though, if the midfield runners crash into walls, we're going to see safety cars.
F1 isn't all about what happens at the front. Yeah, if we see that midfield, chopping and changing throughout the 3 days of racing we're going to see.
Yeah, but would you rather have a constantly changing midfield or a fight at the front?
I don't know. Depends who you support, doesn't it?
Of course. I still think a fight at the front's more exciting than seeing Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri battling away for 9th. But but I think it will be competitive though. You've got, we've proven this season, you've got 6 cars that can fight at the front. Yeah. You've got 2 races. You've got 2 different qualifying sessions. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Should we talk about the actual sprint format then? The new format for the Saturdays. Firstly, we'll talk about the name, Sprint Shootout.
Love it. Sounds brilliant.
God, they really like playing up the whole video game idea behind the sprint races, don't they? They absolutely adore it.
It's just a shorter quality session.
Yeah,
it's the Sprint Shootout, everybody.
But if it was an actual shootout, I think we'd be better.
One shot quali.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring it in.
But
then is that more risky because you'll see drivers going to push so hard because you've got to get one lap and nail it.
I think it's more exciting. I think you get a better grid. I think so you've got the qualifying on Friday. I think you send them out in the same order, and they just have to go for it. One shot, that's all you get. If you mess it up, you mess it up. I think it'll be exciting. I think there's more chance we'll see someone else on pole rather than Max Verstappen. But I think this format doesn't really matter too much. It's going to be one shot in Q3 for most drivers, but I want to see one shot quality just so we get a pure sort of qualifying session without people getting in the way, without red flags impacting
So it's
stuff.
basically a normal quality session, but Q1's 15 minutes, Q2's 12 minutes.
Q1's 12 minutes, Q2 10, Q3 8 minutes.
It's very short, very quick.
Well, that's the thing. Q3 is going to be a one-lap shootout.
The mandatory medium tyre to be used in Q1 and Q2, and the mandatory soft tyre to be used in Q3.
Yeah, and then with the actual sprint race, it's the same as we expect. Like, it's the same as last year. It's going to be a similar sort of length.
It just won't affect the starting grid for the race, which is a positive thing.
Do you think we could create a more interesting spectacle with the sprint? But like maybe something like after 3 laps, the guy who's last has to retire. And then every lap...
That would be brilliant.
Until we have a fight out. Shoot out at the front.
But
just peeling into the pits.
But what if there's 10 seconds between them?
What do you mean?
Like, what if there's 10 seconds between the top 2?
Sorry, if in 20 laps the guy in first opens up that much of a gap.
Max probably would this year.
Potentially.
In that Red Bull.
And then you have one lap where the top 3 just have to fight it out to see who brings home.
But I do like this whole, because not a all hell for leather Saturday, because obviously you don't want to go completely wreck your car, but you can go for it a little more on the Saturday. And I think that could favour us at the front, because you look at drivers like Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso, they will go for it now. They will absolutely go for it.
Maybe.
Especially
I still feel
Fernando
Red Bull are
Alonso.
going to be a bit
Red
too
Bull,
good.
Red Bull, well, we'll see, won't we? 2 quality sessions, are Red Bull going to nail it in both? We don't know.
So yeah, just to... Where we're seeing sprint races this year, I know we've mentioned a few of the destinations, but just to summarise, it's going to be Azerbaijan, Austria, Belgium, Qatar, USA and Brazil.
Don't understand Belgium.
Spa makes no sense to me. Qatar makes no sense. Because that's a terrible track.
The Qatar makes sense from the FIA's point of view and the F1's point of view, because they want to make Qatar seem more interesting, because they know it's really...
Azerbaijan I'm behind. Austria's class.
Austria will be brilliant.
Love US. I think Kota, where everyone could just go hell for leather, sounds very exciting.
Those dive bombs down into turn, I don't know what called, but up the heavy braking zones before the straight and after the straight would be brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that would be good. And then Brazil, I love the Sao Paulo circuit, but I didn't like the sprint race last year.
It kind of, for me, the sprint races only work on like the shorter circuits.
Yeah,
where it's a quick lap with a lot of heavy braking zones. While look at Belgium's, a long lap.
Saudi would have been good for it.
Yeah,
Saudi would have been a good sprint race.
But I think Belgium's too long of a lap, and Sao Paulo hasn't got heavy braking zones.
Belgium, 30 minutes. That's one lap.
Yeah.
Okay, round one. Oh, there we go. Sorted. Like it doesn't really. It's not going to be all that interesting.
But I look at Azerbaijan this weekend. We're going to see some Daniel Ricciardo-esque dive bombs down to turn 1, because drivers are risk-free. And it's a good chance for maybe the teams towards the bottom to pick up some points.
I think so. And obviously, as just a refresher on that point system, then as you say, top 8 getting points. First gets 8 all the way down to 8th getting 1. So there's definitely a lot of points up for grabs this weekend.
Yeah, and I think also on the risk-free thing is also we're now at a point in F1 where if you wreck your car on Saturday, the mechanics should be able to get it fixed for a Sunday.
Yeah. All right, I've got a one-word question for you. I don't want you to elaborate, just want a yes or a no. Is this sprint format better?
Yes.
Lovely. Should we talk about Australia then? Because that was last time out, 3 weeks ago now. It's been a while. Obviously, that was carnage. We spoke about that. If you want to see our review on that, then go back to that.
We're talking about actual performance and results.
Yeah.
I mean, Red Bull were pretty good.
Mercedes, well, Perez wasn't. Perez
wasn't, but
rolled into a barrier in qualifying.
Red Bull were very quick, and we know Sergio Perez around street circuits like Baku, like Saudi, like Monaco. He is a very good driver, so I expect him to bring his A game this weekend. Max Verstappen, no words needed really. It's Max Verstappen.
Do you think with this sort of sprint race format though, Mercedes can?
No, I want to touch on Mercedes because they gave it a really good go in Australia.
So we saw George Russell with an engine failure. if he didn't pick up that failure, obviously they were 1 and 2 after a couple of laps. If he hadn't have suffered that failure, do you think that Mercedes could have fought Max Verstappen to a more intense degree? Because obviously, with only Lewis up there and Red Bull having a car advantage, it's difficult for Mercedes to be able to compete. But
for me, Mercedes would have held on longer.
Yeah.
But I think Max still got them, but they've easily got a 2-3. And usually Mercedes can do really well in championships because they can rely on their reliability. Bit of a worry for their cars to go pop like that.
It's rare for Mercedes.
Yeah.
Well, this is a Ferrari.
That's usually one thing they nail.
But yeah,
that was a bit bizarre.
I think this is a good chance for Mercedes though.
Yeah.
Red Bull 3 wins from 3. They're gonna have a target on their back. I think it's a weekend where Mercedes will view themselves as in with a good chance. They look decent around. Well, no, sorry. Last year they really struggled here, obviously, but that was porpoising. But in the years before, they were always pretty decent at Baku. Yeah. I feel that if they can get George and Lewis right up there near Max, and potentially Perez has another difficult qualifying, I think there's every chance then that Max is able to. Max can't fight both of them off. Yeah. DRS is incredibly powerful here. We know that.
If anything, Merck might want Perez up there because if you've got Max and Perez going toe to toe, Red Bulls don't really get on in Baku.
And obviously Perez is going to likely be able to stay in DRS a lot easier because we know how powerful DRS is on the back straight.
So that could be interesting. I think Aston Martin again look very quick. We know they're going to provide a challenge in some sort, and as I said, Fernando Alonso. That I feel like that Saturday could be his Saturday.
Yeah,
he could
a format where he hasn't got a championship to think about.
Yeah,
Max is going to be sat there going, "Well, I need to just consolidate whatever points I get from every round and just keep the championship alive." Not alive, sorry, keep it. Get those points up and get it done as quickly as possible. Get that third championship. Alonso, on the other hand, has no championship to fight for. Alonso will go balls to the wall if the car is there for him to compete.
Highways of hell in his radio and he's just sending it down the inside of everyone.
Yeah, and then Alpine.
I mean, they need to respond after what happened to Australia.
Well, they look really quick. So I think if they can avoid crashing into each other, there's every chance they take some decent points.
They've just got to hope that this doesn't... Because we know Gasly and Ocon previously...
Well, we know that Ocon's record with teammates, don't we?
Isn't great, and they've already crashed with each other now once. Yeah. They've got to make sure that doesn't continue for Alpine and that they go a real problem that everyone kind of saw coming on their hands.
But if we ignore them crashing out, do you think they've got the pace to be able to fight nearer the front?
I think they could definitely be 7-8.
Yeah.
Behind the top 3 teams.
Yeah, competing with Ferrari?
Yeah, probably should talk about Ferrari. I mean, last year, double DNF at Baku.
Do you think that'll be on their mind this weekend? Obviously, it's a track where they had no joy last season. They've not really enjoyed much success here in recent years. Obviously, 2019, Vettel felt he should have won and then smashed into,
historically,
went and tapped Lewis, didn't he?
Because I look at the last, for Leclerc, on a Saturday in Baku, he loves it. He's taken pole here the last 2 times. On a Sunday, it's horrific. Obviously, he binned it in the castle section what year was that?
2019. It's the same year, I think.
Same year Vettel was going around smashing into people under safety car.
We went and tapped Lewis because he broke too hard. Brake checked him. Yeah.
And then obviously DNF last year.
They've not had much success here, but I do think Ferrari and straight line are really strong.
They are.
If there's going to be any round where they can make use of that speed, it's Azerbaijan.
They've just got to make sure the car can keep going.
Yeah, and they actually have any pace because I still feel Red Bull are probably stronger. And if we look at... we're speaking about how DRS can be utilised to keep up with Red Bull.
Yeah.
Red Bull's DRS this season has been ludicrous.
Yeah, it's been ridiculous.
You cannot understate how much an advantage that DRS gives them.
Mental.
If they are... if they're 1 and 2... If they're both up there, they will just DRS off into the sunset.
Yeah.
So I do fear that unless one of them has a bad qualifying, namely probably Max, we're probably going to see Red Bull 1-2.
And I think just to touch on the teams towards the end of the field, this is kind of their weekend to gain because they've got to pick up on any pieces. Teams like McLaren, McLaren have got to do what they did in Australia. They've got to gain on other people's losses. So if other people are crashing out or they go for it too hard and end up in a wall, they've got to take advantage of that. Same for all the other teams, Williams, Haas, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo. They've got to make sure they just pick up what they can this weekend.
Yeah, I feel like I think there's going to be a lot of incidents in the midfield. So maybe those teams right at the back. Someone like, Williams, Haas. Williams have been a bit more competitive this year, but I do feel like this is a perfect weekend for someone like Haas or Alfa Romeo to just sit at the back and wait for carnage to unfold.
Because I can see, is this kind of maybe Alex Albon territory? Could he put in a good sprint shootout qualifying and then just hold on to P8 for 30 minutes?
I think he definitely can, and obviously with carnage likely ensuing around him, there's going to be places to be made up here, even if he isn't in that top 8 initially. So I definitely think for aggressive drivers, this weekend could be very fruitful, or could be completely terrible, because if they go too hard into a braking zone, suddenly they're off with another driver.
One lap pace obviously will be huge as well, because you've got 2 qualifying sessions, especially in that sprint shootout when you're probably only you're just about 2 laps, and you've got to get the laps in. You've got to make sure they're good enough, because if you make a mistake on one of your laps and you have to go out and do another one, you've got to be careful if you're not going to run out of time. Yeah,
obviously we're speaking about how Saturday can't affect the Sunday grid. I think it will, because if there's going to be there's definitely going to be some penalties handed out. You'd imagine if we're going to get a good race, there's going to be some penalties handed out. You'd imagine there's going to be at least one car maybe with too much damage for the team to fix.
I don't know. I don't think we'll see.
I don't know. Maybe
because I think they'd have to completely ruin the car. I think.
Which I don't think is impossible around here.
This
is exactly the sort of race.
Even if, say, someone binned it at the castle, I still think we're advanced in Formula 1 enough where if the mechanics could fix the car completely in 24 hours.
Equally, you look at Mick Schumacher at Saudi Arabia. All it takes is a little too much contact with the wall, and then the team don't view it as possible.
Yeah, you'd have to be going very quick. I think to
it's unlikely we see someone not start, but
you never know.
If someone goes off in that way, then you're likely going to see some penalties. But I think we'll definitely see penalties. So Sunday's grid could be a bit messed up. Could be a bit all over the place, so that could be interesting.
Hopefully they decide to go for time penalties in the sprint race rather than go for grid.
Well, if they're out, then doesn't really.
Which probably could happen. I think it's going to be exciting though.
I think it's going to be exciting. On that, a couple more questions before we get into our predictions. Last year's race.
What happened?
It was a very good show from Max Verstappen.
Drove off in sunset. I think if you want drama back, you look to the year before that, where Max Verstappen's tyre obviously came off.
Mark Webber was very excited.
Mark Webber lost it when Hamilton went straight on, and Perez took a brilliant win, and Sebastian Vettel got Aston Martin's first podium.
He actually got podium in the AlphaTauri. Yeah. Very chaotic race. I think those show the duality of the Baku City Street circuit. Yeah. We're either going to see this action-packed event with loads of carnage, loads of chaos and loads of excitement, or we're going to see Max Verstappen drive off into the sunset and loads of other engine failures.
Equally, if both drivers of the second best team on the grid both blow up, it is going to be a pretty dull race. Especially last year, because we only had 2 teams out the front.
Yeah, fair
enough. Even if Merc both blow up, you've got Aston Martin waiting in the wings.
And if anything, them blowing up pulls out a safety car, Alonso can then fight with them. But shall we get on to predictions then? There's a lot to go through because we've got some extra rounds here. Yeah. Well, not extra rounds, but extra events. So there's a lot to cover. Shall we start on the Friday qualifying session? Of course, it is on Friday. Unfortunately, a very inconvenient time for anyone with stuff going on during the day. But, pole position. Who are we expecting? Who do you think will claim pole around Baku?
I've gone Sergio Perez.
Oh, we've gone for the same.
Oh.
Yeah. Off the bat, Sergio Perez.
He loves a straight circuit, and we know he's got a strong one. He loves Baku. Pace. He does love Baku, and I think he'll just put it all together and put in a very good lap on the Friday.
Yeah, fair enough. Sprint race pole. We've both gone Checo for the main race pole, but who are we going for sprint pole?
It would be Fernando Alonso Saturday, and I think he will take sprint race pole. Sprint shootout, whatever they're calling it.
The sprint shootout.
I just think it'll be close, but I think he'll just absolutely send it on his lap and just put it together.
I think obviously Alonso's a fantastic qualifier, but I think if Alonso's going to get anything big from this weekend, I think it'll come from overtakes in the sprint race rather than a sprint race pole. I've gone for a rogue shout here of Charles Leclerc. Because I think if Ferrari can get that car into the right window like they did last year, I think Charles definitely got the minerals to be able to put that car on pole. There's a potential we see some other drivers not get good laps in, because obviously we are, Baku, there's a lot of risk of traffic, so maybe some surprises in Q1 and then even in Q3, it's a one-shot. And while Max is an imperious qualifier,
he can make errors.
Exactly.
He's not a robot.
Well, we've seen it before. He makes a couple, makes that error in his final lap. He doesn't get the lap he wants, and then, he's out of qualifying. Yeah. And I feel Charles is a bit more dependable when it comes to one lap pace. If Ferrari are, in the conversation, I think their car's good in a straight line. We saw them good at Baku last year. I think Charles could be in a very good position to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I think Alonso will probably just pit Max to the sprint race pole, but I think Max will sort that out in the sprint race.
Fair enough.
Max Verstappen to win the sprint race. That Red Bull's pretty broken.
It's alright, isn't it? Yeah.
I think if those two break away, Max then just gets in with the DRS and drives off into the sunset.
Yeah. Fair enough then. Sprint race win. I've gone Charles Leclerc to convert the sprint race pole into a sprint race win, bring home 8 points for Ferrari. I think he can. I think he could do enough to fight, because I think if Max is coming through, he's going to be making some overtakes. It's going to take him some time to get to the front. Charles could have built a gap by that point.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely going to be a safety car, which could be to Leclerc's help if that comes in the final couple laps. We know obviously it's going to, you'd imagine around 20 laps, I'd say, if it's 30 minutes around Baku, around the 20 lap mark. If you get a safety car in 16 and lap 16, I don't think they'll have time to get it really going. So I think that could come into help if we do see an early termination of the Saturday sprint. But I think he's going to have the pace anyway to be able to fight people off potentially. I think if he's in that position, he'll throw everything he's got at holding on to it. But on to the Sunday then. We'll start with a did not finish. Who will be the first to DNF? We didn't do it in the sprint because it's going to be the bottom half of the grid. They're all going to be out. But the first to DNF on the Sunday.
I've gone for our Ferrari. I've gone Carlos Sainz.
Oh, is it by any chance going to involve a cheeky little fire?
It is going to. It will involve just going to be an engine failure, and it's just going to be another frustrating race for Ferrari.
Yeah. I mean,
DNF.
They can't really afford another drop of points, can they? My first DNF, this is going to annoy any of those the British bias fans out there.
Ooh.
But I've got George Russell.
Again?
I think he's shown time and time again that when he's in the mid-pack in that Mercedes, he does make errors. He does get involved in trouble.
Look at the crash he caused for Zhou Guanyu at Silverstone last year.
Well, that's exactly my point. I think he could just be a victim of a poor qualifying session, stuck down there in 11th or 10th position, in and amongst the traffic at Baku, might just end up.
Fair enough.
Maybe he's trying to go around the outside turn one, doesn't realise the wall's there, in he goes, something like that. Not necessarily his fault, but just in the chaos of the pack, I could see him getting caught out. Who's your first? Oh, you went Carlos Sainz, didn't you? Fastest lap then. Who's going to be the fastest man on the Sunday?
I've gone for the fastest man on the Saturday to be the fastest man on the Sunday. Fernando Alonso taking the fastest lap. This doesn't say anything about who my race winner is, but I just think he'll probably put a good lap in at some point and take it.
Yeah, fair enough. Alonso, very decent little driver, of course, Fernando Alonso. And if he's not right at the front, he might have that DRS, right conditions, pick up that fastest lap. My fastest lap, Max Verstappen. I think he will be, not to give away my race win, I think he'll be ahead by quite some distance. I think he'll be ahead by...
Same race
well, I don't know, because I still think there's going to be some carnage in this race. As for a race winner then, who are you going for?
I've gone Max Verstappen, and I know I said Sergio Perez to take pole, and I know I said Sergio Perez likes street circuits. He's a very, very quick driver. I think it'll be close. But if you told me which driver is probably quicker over however many laps Baku is, I think Max Verstappen just has the edge.
Yeah, fair enough. As for my race winner, firstly, I want to take our minds back to 2018. Ring any bells?
No way.
Red Bulls fighting at the front. Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez behind him. Perez into the back. Both Red Bulls out of the Grand Prix. Chaos ensues. Alpine 1-2. Esteban Ocon is a two-time race winner in Formula 1.
Where are the other 6 teams at the front?
That's what I'm saying. Carnage ensues. Maybe there's been a bit of carnage earlier in the race.
Lance Stroll,
yeah.
Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz have all just disappeared.
Well, you think the Alpines will be quicker than the Ferraris? So already you've just proven that point.
I think if they're ahead, then they'll probably stay ahead. Okay.
So
where
George Russell said he'll be first out. That only leaves 3 drivers. Maybe Alonso's leading the race after the session. He's gone off the road.
Fernando something. That's not Fernando.
Oh, Lewis Hamilton steamed off the end with his warm tyres.
Fernando doesn't just steam off the road.
Ocon win. Gasly second. Albon podium. Mental.
I'll take an Albon podium.
If that happens, then I deserve.
Not gonna happen.
I deserve something from Formula 1. I think if I've completely predicted that correctly.
Sargent winning.
No, that is delusional. That's everything for today, though. Keep the conversation going in the comments below. What do you think of our predictions? Absolutely batshit crazy, I'm sure. But get involved in the comments. Make sure to give your own thoughts and predictions for the Grand Prix, and also what you think of the new sprint race format. I'm aware this one, I think this preview's been a little longer than they usually are. We've had a lot to discuss today. Oh, okay, fair enough. But I had a lot to talk about, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. That is all from us today, though. Thank you all very much for watching, and we will see you next time.
See ya.